The transport system in higher plants is very elaborate. These plants have a conducting network of tissues in plants, the xylem and the phloem. These tissues are collectively called as the vascular tissues or the vascular bundles, and we studied this in the previous class. The xylem conducts water and minerals from the roots to the leaves, whereas the phloem transports food from the leaves to all the parts of the plant. Water and mineral salts are absorbed through the root hair from the soil. But before we talk about the absorption of water by the root hair, let us study what is a semi-permeable membrane. A semi-permeable membrane is a membrane which allows the entry of some substances but does not allow other substances to move across it. Root hairs in plants are semi-permeable. Now I am going to show you an experiment that will help you to understand a semi-permeable membrane better. There are three ways by which absorption of water takes place in plants. The first one is diffusion, second osmosis, and the third one is active transport. In absorption of water, the roots play a major role. So we just studied in the previous slide the role of the roots. Now we are going to study what is osmosis and how water is absorbed in the plants by this process. So osmosis is the process by which solvent molecules move across a semi-permeable membrane from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. That is, it is the movement of water molecules from a diluted solution to a concentrated solution. Let us understand the process of osmosis by an experiment where equal volumes of two solutions A and B are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. Again, I repeat, a semi-permeable membrane allows certain molecules of a solution to pass while restricts the other molecules. Solution A, it is a concentrated solution with more molecules of sugar and less water molecules. You can see that there are more red molecules of sugar denoted by a red mark and less water molecules denoted by these blue dots. Whereas solution B is a diluted solution with less sugar molecules and more water molecules. You can see that there are more water molecules with blue ink and less sugar molecules with red ink. As this membrane is semi-permeable, the molecules of water move from B to A, that is, from a solution of higher concentration to that of a lower concentration. As a result, the level of water rises in solution A while falls in solution B. This movement of water continues till an equilibrium of water molecules is reached between the two solutions. Now that you have learnt both the processes, the diffusion as well as osmosis, let us compare the two. First, what is the difference between osmosis and diffusion on the basis of their definition? Diffusion is the movement of molecules of solvent, solute and gases from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Whereas osmosis is also a diffusion of only the solvent molecules across a semi-permeable membrane from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. In case of diffusion, again, the diffusing molecules may be solids, liquids or gases. But in case of osmosis, it involves only the movement of solvent molecules. In case of diffusion semi-permeable membrane is not needed, whereas in osmosis a semi-permeable membrane is required. Diffusion is a very fast process in case of gases, but it is slightly slower in liquids. But osmosis is a very slow process by which water molecules are absorbed by the roots in a plant. Once the water enters the root hair cell, it moves to the deeper parts of the root by cell to cell osmosis and finally reaches the xylem of the root. Similarly, the minerals absorbed by the roots also reach the xylem. Water and minerals absorbed by the roots are conducted upwards to the aerial parts of the plant by the xylem. The root hairs are very important for the plant. The root hairs help to increase the surface area for the absorption of water. They provide a close contact with water that is present in the soil. The root hair can reach the small spaces that are present between the soil particles and thus help in the absorption of water. They also allow the rapid movement of water molecules into the root due to the thin cell walls. The xylem and the phloem are both complex tissues and they are made up of parenchyma and sclerenchyma cells. The two can be differentiated on the basis of their structure and function. The xylem tissue is made up of the tracheids, xylem fibers, xylem vessels, and the xylem parenchyma cells, whereas the phloem is composed of the sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and the phloem cells. On the basis of the function, the xylem and the phloem can also be differentiated as the xylem tubes carry water absorbed by the roots upwards towards the leaves, whereas the phloem tubes carry food away from the leaves to all the parts of the plant, including the roots. The xylem and the phloem both are complex tissues. They are both made up of the sclerenchyma and the parenchyma cells. The xylem and the phloem can be differentiated from each other on the basis of the structure and the function. The xylem is composed of specialized cells, the tracheids, xylem fibers, xylem vessels, and the xylem parenchyma cells, whereas the phloem is made up of the sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and the phloem parenchyma cells. The xylem and the phloem can be differentiated on the basis of functions also. The xylem carries water absorbed from the roots upwards towards the leaves, whereas the phloem carries food away from the leaves to all parts of the plant, including the roots.